Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We're always delighted to have this returning guest. Andy Schectman is the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals. He's joining us this Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. Andy, thanks for coming back on for this quick weekly market update.
Great to be here, Dunnigan. I'm glad I made it in one piece. I just, in the midst of a 12-hour travel day, and I swear I'm on the second of, what would I be, on the second layover. But from Atlanta to Seattle, I swear I've traveled 1 million miles with Delta, a million miler tag, and I have never, ever experienced turbulence like I did from Atlanta to Seattle today. There were people screaming.
Oh my.
There were the overhead compartments opening up. The captain comes on and says, if you're holding on to young children, hold on tightly. It was crazy, but I'm in one piece, so I'm happy to be here, thankfully.
Wow. I just knew you had had a long travel day with some rushing and some late flights and stuff like that. I didn't realize about this. Well, it's interesting because Rick Rule had talked to us about buckling up for a turbulent year ahead, but I didn't know that's what he was talking about. Guess we'll learn more as we go. And but glad you're in one piece, really, and safe travels for the rest of your journey.
Thank you.
You and I were corresponding earlier about the continued remarkable and record drawdown of physical metals on the major exchanges, perhaps silver in particular, but not only silver, and at the remarkably advantaged price, which has been arranged for such an occasion. And so that's why this video is entitled The Great Silver Smash and Stash. And if you could enlighten us on what you've been digging into with your research about that great silver smash and stash that's happening on the major exchanges, and if things continue at this rate, how long this can persist the way things are going.
Well, one of the things that's worth mentioning is that there's an awful lot of movement back and forth on COMEX, where you see the commercial banks creating tremendous volume, but yet the price doesn't go anywhere. It's as if they're selling amongst one another in a cartel type of atmosphere where the illusion of movement and of trading and of volume, which outpaces most other commodities traded, creates this illusion that the market is freely traded, when in essence, I would argue it isn't. But it's not the volume of deliveries that we see, because in some respects, it's almost as if the banks are delivering to one another and then delivering back and working outside deals. But it's the deliveries outside of the ecosystem, taken off of the exchanges, and we're seeing that in copious amounts off the London Metals Exchange in particular, where they just came out and publicly said if the withdrawals are anywhere near what they were like in 2022, that there won't be any silver left in 2023. As we've talked ad nauseum about, there's only 33 million ounces or so on the registered category backing the contracts that are open for delivery right now. The amount of silver that is available is ridiculously low when you see India's final numbers for 2022 came back at 304 million ounces delivered to the country in 2022. Big money is taking possession of silver, but one of the things that I found very interesting in doing a little digging was that JP Morgan just came out with a report the other day that said China currently holds an estimated 96% of the global copper inventories. So when you talk about what conducts electricity, what is used in conductivity in circuitry and in motherboards and in wiring and in all of the things that you would use silver and or copper for, I find it very interesting that these countries moving eastward, who we often talk about as accumulating all of the gold and all of the silver, evidently JP Morgan believes they're holding 96% of global copper inventories on top of 75% of global aluminum inventories, which the London Metals Exchange, ironically enough, saw a 70% drop in aluminum inventories last year. And now it's being told that, JP Morgan is telling us that China holds 70% of the global aluminum inventories, 54%, 70% of corn inventories, 54% of wheat, 30% of soybeans, 22% of crude oil, and up north of 90% of all the copper inventories. You can see what is being done. You can see that these countries view these commodities as wealth, as money. And so, yeah, I think it's very telling. This is a game where you have to let your conviction and your gut really win this battle against the price that your eyes see, because the biggest money in the world is without question preparing a war chest, and whether it be India or China, whether it be any of the BRICS nations. We talk about the amount of gold that was delivered last year. Swiss customs data shows that Swiss exports of gold to countries including China, Turkey, Singapore, Thailand, they all surged to multi-year highs in 2022, especially in Turkey. Last year, Turkey imported 524 tons of gold. And so Hong Kong, 354 tons, all coming from Switzerland. Singapore, 69 tons. Thailand, 92 tons. And so you're seeing even Saudi Arabia, 47 tons. So, in 2021, they only purchased 7 tons. So, you're talking massive amounts, and all of these countries are the ones that we've been talking about, these BRICS nations who are developing a war chest. So whether we talk about it being silver, which is really the crux to so many things, or base metals like copper and aluminum, I think this is what you need to focus on when you see days like yesterday, when the price just out of nowhere, the minute it leaves London, usually at the PM fixed on its way to New York, it gets hammered. And here we are back up again today. This is a whipsawing up and down, and the line in the sand is $24. People are fixated on technical analysis and on these big round numbers, while the biggest money in the world is taking possession of it off the exchanges. That is the ball you need to follow, not the bouncing ball, up and down, volatility, above 24, below 24. That's all a bunch of noise. I think you have to focus not on the periphery, but on the ball. And the ball that you need to watch is the ball that is being shipped eastward to these countries. So that's really, I think, the message that I would leave you and your listeners with, that this is not ending, and it's not stopping, and it's not just with precious metals. And when you see copper, 96% of copper inventories globally owned by China, people should stand up and take notice that to them, copper is money. And in a world where you want to, build things, you sure need copper. And China holds all the cards there. Not only do they hold most of the copper and aluminum and all the commodities I mentioned, they also hold the lion's share of the rare earth metals that are needed to build electric vehicles and the batteries. So we are focused on the wrong things in this country, and countries like China, who have become rich off of selling us their party favors, are taking all of that money and putting into real things that will allow them to flourish for decades or centuries. We focus on days and weeks and really focus on the wrong things, like documents that left the White House somehow. And that's just all noise. And I think those people who are paying close enough attention to the real important things would be wise to do what countries like China are doing and de-dollarize and stock up on real assets, because in the end, liabilities will eat you and assets will feed you. And a country like China certainly knows that by the direction they're going.
And the other thing that you mentioned about how this paper game, whatever it is, false liquidity, et cetera, that's being played on the major metal exchanges, no matter what that is trying to accomplish, one of the things that people are seeing is that physical inventory drawdown is inexorably leading towards zero. And things can get really real from that false paper world, that things can get real in a hurry. We saw that less than 2 years ago on the nickel exchange, and things got really real overnight, and there was a huge spike and broken trades and all kinds of that liquidity immediately dried up. So people are watching that closely. And at that point, that's when the game of musical chairs stops, when the music stops. And you either have something, you either have a place to sit on or you don't. So it'll be interesting to see where people are positioning themselves. We certainly see countries positioning themselves, but ordinary people, from a preparedness standpoint, we've said this for years, is, you'd rather be 7 years early than one day too late. And now it looks like 7 years is not even not even close to how far we have left in this before the music stops. Along the way, you've worked hard to try to obtain things that are as affordable as they can be for people to get their hands on if they want to acquire physical along the way at a household level. What's your weekly market special this week?
Yeah, we have two varieties of silver buffalo rounds. What over the last 2 years maybe more demanded than any of the silver items we had, and probably the hardest thing to get because they're made by private refineries that don't have the capacity that the sovereign mints do. We have the bull mint rounds, to which we have an exclusive on. They're amazing. They come in boxes of 400. I believe they're the nicest silver buffalo rounds I've ever seen. They're 4.9 fine. They're a design that no one's seen. They're amazing. And we do have an exclusive on those for this year. We have the bull mint rounds and the regular buffalo mint rounds, both of them on sale. I believe $265 on the buffaloes and $285 on the bull mint buffaloes. In either case, fantastic choices. The regular ones come in boxes of 500, the bull mint in boxes of 400, and a good way to add 1 ounce silver pieces without paying the high premiums we're also used to seeing over the last 3 years. A really good choice.
Another distinction I understand is the bull mint buffalo rounds are 4.9s fine, so 99.99% fine versus 3.9s fine for all other types of buffalo rounds.
That is correct, and that's a big deal.
Well, Andy, I know you've got a long travel day still ahead of you, so we're going to let you get back to it, but very grateful for you taking a break as you're jaunting across the country to join us for this weekly market update. And folks, don't miss the chance. There'll be a link in the description of this video to enroll for the Rule Symposium. It's both the big symposium that's coming up in July in Boca Raton, Florida, but also the online-only silver investing boot camp that's coming up in February, and that's a special low price. And as always, Rick stands behind the value, so it's a no risk decision on your part. Check out the links in the description of this video. Andy, thank you again for taking time during your busy travel day to stop in with us, and we're always grateful for your presence on Liberty and Finance.
Oh, I appreciate you very much, Dunnigan. And a food for thought, I'll give you a call while I'm on my way to Jay Martin's Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. I'll be speaking there, and perhaps I'll call you on Monday, and we can do something similar to this, or maybe even a video from the conference, if time permits. So to be continued. But thanks for having me. Appreciate the well wishes, and hope you have a nice rest of your day.
Thanks, Andy. Take care.
Thanks, Donovan. Bye-bye.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we will let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be double boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Elijah, my brother Kaiser, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.